Hey, it's Cosmic Charles here. I'm back with some Poison Storm. I've made some minor updates to the deck, but first I think I'll start with a bit of a deck tech since it's been some time. So, essentially, what this deck is, this is like an egg style, this is like an eggs or a storm deck. The big difference is instead of casting a bunch of cards to generate storm count or additional value, as in like an eggs type or incremental value with eggs, and then finishing with a big spell. You start with like a little spell, like an Infectious Inquiry or a Prologue to Phyresis, that kind of like plants the seed or infects them, and then you grow that seed with incremental value using your proliferation spells. So what you need to do, or what I've been trying to do, is I've been trying to make this a very high count of cards that are goes, cards that draw. I have 28 in the deck right now, so that's kind of like a minimum for like eggs and storm, since I don't have like a big draw, it's like, Reaping the Graves or something like that. And the reason why you need to do that is because for decks like this, you need to run a ton of mana. Like, for example, in Cycle Storm, they typically run like 11 or 12 lands, and you run like 16 rituals after that. So that's like 27, 28 like mana cards that are like stops your combo, but you run Reaping the Graves and everything else draws. You're able to push through it. Now, this deck doesn't have a big card like Reaping the Graves, and that is a bit of a problem because we run 16 lands, 8 rocks, which puts us to 24. And then you run 4 Thirsting Roots on top of that. Now, while Thirsting Roots does help to kill your opponent and is also a ritual in itself, it doesn't replace itself. That puts you to 28. And then you have the 4 Weather the Storms, which is your one way of interacting with what the opponent's doing, besides poisoning them to death. And yeah, that puts you to 32. So you have 32 cards that. Oh, and I guess between 32 and 34, depending on whether or not you've cycled the Lorien Revealed. That's your mana. Like half your deck is mana, and the other half is card draw. Basically, is how the deck works. So you really are at risk of flooding. So I've done certain things to help try and mitigate that. One of them, the biggest one, is Tolarian Winds, which is just a straight up discard your hand. Oh, you have 5 lands in your hand. Tolarian Winds, redraw. It's like a button you press to get rid of the flood that you have. And I use Merchant Scroll to try and go for that. See, I have a bit of a Merchant Scroll toolbox here. It's not very large, and there are some matchups where I have to board it out simply. I guess Glitters. I guess it's a matchup I have to board out because I have 7 cards for Glitters. 4 Nature's Claim, 3 Breath Weapon. It's just you have to kind of go into more of a controlling mid-range route against them, which is how the black version of this deck functions, which is more of a combo control rather than just straight like egg style, although they are very similar. So the Merchant Scroll pocket is this 2 Merchant Scroll, 1 Tolarian Winds, 1 Teach, and Teach is actually a new card that I've added, and it's been really sweet. I typically try and combine it with Vivid Surgeon's Insight or potentially Lorien Revealed, which is another new card, which has also been very sweet. It just being an island that can also be a draw 3 is just very important, because 16 is kind of not enough lands, but 18, well, that's getting there, because while I only have 16 lands, I also have like 4 roots, 2 Lorien Reveals, that's 6 ways of searching out more, plus the 8 rocks. You can probably get there. And I also don't really want to run any more because I'm already running like 30 like land sources, right? So I mean, it's so many. Like I feel like I can't. I know it would help with the mulliganing and such, but it's just I feel like you're running too many as it is, and you need to kind of keep your card draw count high, which is another reason for running Manamorphose. Manamorphose really helps to keep your land count low, because now you can use your red mana to cycle for whatever colors you want. Another thing that Merchant Scroll can do is it acts as our copies 7 to 8 for initial infect sources, because it can grab Prologue to Phyresis, and it can also grab, Experimental Augury for if you need to, like, dig for a Proliferator spell. It's a little expensive because it costs 2, but hey, that actually kind of helps with Weather the Storm, because it's an additional spell for that. Infectious Inquiry is another new one. I realized that I should have been running this previously, but one second. Sorry, I just wanted to drink some coffee there. But I kind of linked it with the swamp in my mind, and I really didn't want a basic swamp in here. Island Swamp is only good if you have Pentide Prism, or I guess an Infectious Inquiry in hand. I was running it as a 1-of, and I really like that. So I'm trying it as a 2-of now, and that puts me up to 8 initial ways of infecting them. So that's been pretty sweet. Teach has been really sweet. I used to run it as a 2-of, but I cut the second one for another Infectious Inquiry just because I thought, like, they're both about as difficult to cast. So, or because Teach involves some type of setup. Typically with Teach, you either want to do Vivisurgeons, Augury, or Lord Revealed. There are situations, though, in which you'd want to do Merchant Scroll. And it's come up once. Normally, like, you'd be like, oh, why not just, teach what you got with Merchant Scroll? Well, this is the situation. The situation in which you'd want to teach a Merchant Scroll is when when your opponent's not infected and you don't have a prologue in hand, and you need a proliferation spell as well. So what you do is you teach, Merchant Scroll, grab a prologue, and an experimental augury, and you're out for the races. That's come up once, which is pretty sweet. It doesn't come up all that often, though, because normally I'm just going to hold this in hand and wait until I can pair it with something more powerful, like a Vivisurgeon's Insight. Yeah, and these rocks are your rituals / your ramp spells. They're extremely powerful, as you'll see in the games. And I think that pretty much sums it up. That's all the things. Yeah, all right. Oh, this is my sideboard. Not sure about it. Been liking it so far. Scatter shots, mostly for fairies. So's the breath weapon. Just a bunch of field wipe. Circle Protection Blue, new card I'm trying out. Dispel, always important. I don't run Pyroblast because of Blue Elemental Blast and Hydroblast. Because we don't run any creatures, blue decks that have interaction with creatures and not much else or whatever, of course they'll have artifact interaction. But it's happened to me quite frequently where they will just board in Blue Blast because they see Teach or Manamorphose, and it's like, why would I have Pyro there when it gets hits by that, and all I'm using it for is just to counter spell anyway. Yeah, Inside Out for Walls. Walls is pretty brutal. You could run Sulphurous Blast in this spot as well, but this board interaction thing may not be quite right. Serrated Arrows is another really good option as well. I think that would be instead of Scattershot though, and I feel like Scattershot is just a little better against fairies, and fairies is one of my weaker matchups. Nature Claim's been sweet. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. All right, and yeah, that's right. I've prepared 3 games, 3 matches for today. One was you may have seen already on Kalikaz's channel. It was the Mirror we played. Another one is another Mirror that I played in the queues against someone who played their Bug Poison Storm in the Brazilian Nationals. I don't know if they won or not, but who knows? Maybe they did. And the other one was from a 3-2 league against some I forget the deck of that. I think it was a white red synthesizer. That's right, Boros Synthesizer. So those are the 3 matchups that I'll be showing today. And yeah, all right, we'll check it out. Okay, we're here for the mirror that was in the queues against WA19 or WA19 or whatever that is. That's a pretty nice avatar. Maybe I should change mine. I went back to this one. I don't know. What I really want is Skullstorm, but you can't find that one anywhere. I think it had to be as part of a special event. So this is a pretty good hand. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to lead on a Saprazan Scary. And our opponent goes Snow-Covered Island, so at this point I'm thinking it's fairies. And I just go Hickory, Dickory, Woodlot. And they go... That surprised me. I was like, what? I almost prologued it myself and threw the game there, but I didn't, luckily. So I disinfect them, hoping to top the proliferation spell, and I do. Had I not topped the proliferation spell, I would have cycled the Lorien Revealed for an island. They go Pentad Prism, and why is there only one mana on that Pentad Prism? Oh, I see. And I proliferate there. And pass the turn. Let's play some lands, ramping out nicely. Your opponent goes Experimental Augury. And they go Infectious Inquiry. Now we're both at 3. Well, I'm going to have to get ready to pause here. Remember, a bunch of stuff happens. I don't know if it's this turn or the next turn. I kick my Experimental Augury so I can dig for a Prism, which I find off the first one. And I find it... oh, I guess I'll take the second Augury over the Chalice. I mean, Chalice isn't as great as Prism anyway. So I just cast out the Prism. And I go Experimental Augury, and I get another Pentad Prism off of that. So I'm pretty well set up to finish them off next turn, which I'm hoping I can do. This Jalarian Winds is currently going to be drawing 2. Oh, they left for a while, so well, whatever, it's fine. Anyway, there is an Everflowing Chalice out of our opponent and a Vivisurge's Insight, which I'm happy to see because I'm pretty sure I can kill them next turn with the amount of card draw I have. I do need to see a Proliferation spell, though. Our opponent goes that, or I draw an Everflowing Chalice, which I declined to cast quite yet, because, I cast it after drawing, I proliferate, and I go Prologue, and Contentious Plan, just need one more, and this Jalarian Winds is drawing 5, and that does it. Alright, so a little bit of an overkill with the Jalarian. Does not need to draw quite that much. But sometimes you do. Like there's been situations where I've had like 10 lands on top of my library. Alright, see you for game 2. Okay, and we're back for game 2. And let's take a look at how I sideboarded. This is my sideboard is a little different here than it is now. That's fine, I won't get into that. So I just brought in 2 copies of, what's it called? Nature's Claim, and I brought in 2 copies of Dispel. I was only running 2 Dispel at this point in favor of something else. I don't quite... Tamiyo's Safekeeping and some other stuff I was doing. Tamiyo's was in here because I was worried about Ponza, because this does actually help against Ponza. I didn't think it would help that much, but it did. But Ponza doesn't really play it all that much, so I just had to, focus down. Alright, let's see how we did. Nice. I like seeing that Nature's Claim and a Hickory Woodlot. This is definitely a keep. So our opponent goes Hickory Dickory Dock, and I go the same. They go Island into Pentad Prism into Pentad Prism. Really good start for them. But fortunately, I can disrupt it a little bit with this Nature's Claim, and I had the Dispel back up as well. Now, our opponent goes Peat Bog. I'm going to leave up this island for anything. It's really important to interact as much as possible in the early game against Poison Storm. That's when they're the weakest. I'm kind of needing blue mana here. I do have the Lorien revealed, so that's important. The 2 most important things in the mirror are first Infecting and having rocks down, because it's a race. And I Merchant Scroll for my own Prologue. I might be planning on sacrificing that Hickory Woodlot. We shall see. Oh, probably not going to now. I'll just go for the Infection. And they go bring the ending, so I'm sacrificing it anyway. And there's my Hickory Woodlot. Let's see what they do. They go Sappers and Scary. They have 2 cards in hand. I go Sappers and Scary, and I proliferate. Opponent is now at 2. And I can't cast that Lorien Revealed, so I'm just going to pass the turn. They go Peat Bog into Everflowing Chalice. Our opponent is flooding out, which is a common occurrence in Poison Storm. Like I said, you run like 30 lands, or 30 mana sources, we'll say. There's another Nature's Claim. Here I made a slight mistake. I should have Nature's Claimed their Prism now, rather than later. I don't know what I was thinking about there. I know why, because I wanted to go Nature's Claim into Prologue, but I suspected they had another Bring the Ending, and I didn't want my Prologue to get countered. Not really a good reason to wait. to be honest. I could just like chosen not to cast the prologue, but I'm a sucker for using my mana efficiently. And they go Energy Refractor, and they go Experimental Augury. I'm still not infected, by the way, and this is what I mean. It's so important to get an early infection down in the mirror. About as important as getting the rocks. They're both pretty important. Then they go Pentide Prism into Deep Analysis. And what do? Let's see, they're at 4, so I'm in pretty good shape. I can go Everflowing Chalice into Thirsting Roots. And then I can go Augury. They destroy my Nature's Claim now. Didn't really affect them from them waiting there, because I would have just Auguried in response had they done it to the Thirsting Roots. And they concede, seeing the writing on the wall. Alright, and that was the second match. They must have just had tons of lands in hand, because I mean, oh, I wasn't infected. That's right. I don't know, it's possible to go off and do 10, isn't it? I don't know, did they have anything on their Prism for counters? I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know what they had in their hand, but it could have been an early concession. Alright, and on to the next match. Okay, and we're back for the next match. This was from a 3-2 league that I did a while ago. I believe this was against Boros Synth. Mostly I've gone 3-2 in the leagues for this. Nothing like all that out of the ordinary, like win against mid-range, lose against aggro, pretty much, is how it's been going. My league against oh, I guess I'll talk about that one later. So they go red-white Batterfist, and I lead on a Needle, and I go Hickory Woodlaw. They go Lambastic, Telefantastic, and they get in for 3. And I go Metamorphose by going blue, play another blue, go Prologue and Proliferate. So they're at 2, and they know what's up. And they bolt me. So I am in the market for... Oh, wow, those are nice full art lands. I don't quite like the stamp on the bottom, though. Kind of makes it look like a prototype. But maybe that's what they wanted. I prefer the other ones, the plant, not the ones with the planet, but the ones from that same set. And they're getting in for a bunch, so I could easily be dead here. All they need is a Gout Blast, and they're digging, and they don't find. So here we go. And I Thirsting Roots, Proliferate, Proliferation Station. And they're at 4. I can now go Vivisurgent's Insight, and there's the Weather the Storm. So unfortunately for our opponent, they're not going to win next turn. Unless they've just been holding on to the what's it called? Oh, and I double kick my Experimental Augury, just trying to gain some more life. I'll take that second copy Weather. So now I'm protected from them just holding up the Gout Blast the whole time. That's why you shouldn't really let me, I'm just going to take a Prologue to Phyresis here. I don't need a third copy of Weather. And I go Prologue, and I Weather. Do I Weather again? Probably. Just gain a couple more life here, and I Weather again. And they should get the concession, and it does. Alright, on to Game 2. Alright. Okay, Game 2. Let's see how I boarded. It's looking like I took out 1 Chalice and an Infectious Inquiry for... I don't know, actually. I'm not 100% sure because my sideboard changes all the time. So we will find out. All right. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what I boarded, and I don't know what I would... Oh! I boarded in 2 Breath Weapons. That's what it is. I remember now. Okay. And... Or did I board in 3 Breath Weapons? Who knows? The Shadow, I guess. And they go Rustvale Bridge. You know what? Let me rewind this a little bit. Where's my sideboard? Oh yeah, I brought in 3 Breath Weapons, taking out this Tolarian Winds. I don't like the fact that I took out that Winds. That should have been an Merchant Scroll instead. Because I still would have had 6 sources of initial infection. I'm willing to go less down on initial infection when I have more, when I go into the more controlling build, because I figure that'll give me more time. All right, and this looks like a mulligan if I had to get. Oh, I keep because I had the Metamorphose into green with Thirsting Roots. And I have a Sandstone Needle anyway, so it's alright. I'll play the Sandstone Needle. They go. Seeker of the Way. Oh, I remember this one. This is an interesting one. Now I go Metamorphose into blue, and Experimental Augury into Pentad Prism. And there we go. I may have made some poor tapping choices on this one. In fact, I 100% did. That's right. I messed up a little bit here. I didn't add green for Thirsting Roots to get blue, so I cut myself out of mana, and then I messed up again by tapping those 2 lands to the 3rd one. Now, the reason why I did that is because I misclicked on that Metamorphose and just added 2 blue. I meant to add blue-green, but it's okay because I managed to draw a Lorien Revealed, and that allows me to potentially get back in this game. They go Glinthawk, and they go Ancient Den. Then they go something. Nope, they just do to dupe. I go Pentad Prism, Everflowing Chalice. Just ramping out pretty hard here. And by the way, this is what you do if you're trying to play around artifact removal. You hold all your rocks in hand until you have a big turn. That I wasn't actually trying to do that. I just had accidentally played myself. And for some reason, I didn't Thirsting Roots there. I don't know, I must have been tired when I played this. I should have Thirsting Roots and then cast the Weather the Storm. That was strange. Alright, and they get in for 4. But it's okay, because I can go Merchant Scroll for Teach, and that lets me, draw 6. And honestly, I don't think I've been able to win every game where I've actually had both of these copies resolve. Not that I have won every game where both of these copies resolved. Like I've played myself a few times, or at least a couple times. And there's Thirsting Roots, and so nothing matters. Deck's too good. You can play blind and asleep. And I'm joking, obviously. It's very marginal, the victories. And I go Lorien Revealed to a draw 3. They go Red Blast. I go Breath Weapon, which forces them to Foundry Helix. So the reason why I did that there is, again, because I wanted them to, you just put the pressure on, make them cast the spells, whenever, just in case you don't want to. I can Prologue into Augury, grabbing Prologue, and that is enough for them to concede. I was digging for... Oh, I didn't have my Tolarian Winds that game. But you can see I had like 1, 2, 3, 4 things I would have liked to discard for that. So that's why you don't take out your Tolarian Winds, like almost never, except when you absolutely have to, as in the case of Glitters, because you just, you're bringing in like 7 cards, something has to go. Alright, and on to match 3, which will be the match I played against saiden.raiken, or Kalikaz, which you can actually check out that match on his channel if you want, so you can see it from both perspectives, which I thought might be kind of neat. Alright. Alright, and here we are for the final match of the video. This was a 2-3 league for me, unfortunately. Didn't play all that well. I'm still kind of rusty, and matchups as well. I think I lost against Glitters. By the way, Glitters, I've taken a game almost every time I face them. It's not impossible, and I feel like if I just I'm not playing very much anymore, so like my playing skill has really gone downhill. I'm making all of these like executional errors that really add up when you're playing a deck like this. The bigger things I'm fine on. It's just the little things, like when to play a land, like what colors to like focus on. So, and I also don't really want to take much more time thinking about it, because this deck takes a long time too. So I just have to keep playing until eventually those things become automatic again. Hopefully I can get there. You have to play a lot for that to happen though, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to. But anyway, let's take a look here. It's always fun playing against saiden. We have a good time. And yes, so I kind of just clicked keep this hand because I No, I always enjoy playing against saiden.raiken. It's always fun to play against someone who you're familiar with. And they play a peat bog. So this is a nice surprise. And I play a sandstone needle. Would I have kept this hand had I thought about it more? Quite possibly, because I had a lot of outs here. I had 4 Thirsting Roots, 2 Lorraine Revealed. That's 6, 4 Pentad Prism, that's 10, 4 Metamorphose, that's 14, 4 Scaries, 18, and 2 Island is 20. So I had 20 outs. I feel like that's fine to keep. Alright, and let's take a look. They go Pentad Prism into Thirsting Roots. Now, I did watch Saiden's video the other day, so he was flooding out this whole time. Just playing on the seat of his pants. Now, teach by example is pretty important. That almost got me out of this. Unfortunately, I did not execute it perfectly. I played a land drop, a tap land when I shouldn't have, and then which still wouldn't have affected me had I went blue-green on my Metamorphose. As you will see, that's coming up soon. They go Vivisurgent's Insight, and they proliferate away. Roll away the dew. Okay, any Jerry Garcia fans out there? And they go Vivisurgent's Insight. Boom. And a Contentious Plan. And they're just going off. At this point, I thought I was probably dead, but I was not. So I can use this Roots to grab an island, and I can use that. I considered going Augury here, but then I realized even if I hit the Prism, I wouldn't have been able to infect and then proliferate off because I would have been stuck on 2. So I had no choice but to infect them first there. They go Contentious Plan into something. I can go that. That gets me the Prism. And now I did actually have enough to add 8 more poison this turn. But unfortunately, I did not execute it because this kind of like snap played scary when I saw it because I'm like, oh, thank God. But yeah, so you always need to be thinking about what your lines are while you play, and that's true for any deck. Like, don't be like making thoughtless decisions like that one just there, because this was enough. Yeah, but anyway, so I'm now drawing. And I can go Metamorphose, adding blue something, and I can go that. And unfortunately, as you see here, I didn't play my lands. So I could have gone like Forest, Metamorphose, Contentious Plan, Thirsting Roots, or I could have gone blue-green with my first Metamorphose and gone Pentad Prism, Thirsting Roots, Contentious Plan. There's a bunch of ways I could have won there, but unfortunately I didn't do any of them. And I get infected out. Alright, and on to Game 2. Alright, and we're back for Game 2. My board is pretty simple. All the weather's out, income 2 Claim, and 2 Dispel. Oh, that's right. So, this league, I messed up when I submitted. I forgot to cut my 1 copy of Serene Heart for a 3rd copy of Dispel. It did come up while playing as well. I really kind of could have used that 3rd copy of Spell for 2 of my matches. One I still managed to win, the other one I lost. Got Spell Pierce into Oblivion, but that's alright. Anyway, so Game 2. Yep, I'm pretty confident in the Mirror for this deck, especially against the bug version, because the bug version is kind of geared towards beating, other decks, just the other decks that are out there, whereas this deck is more, whereas the red version is more like focused towards itself. So, being the best, being the best combo it can be. So it's probably just going to be a little more better in the Mirror for that reason, because I'm not devoting as many resources or slots to controlling other decks. All right, so let's see how we did. There is the Needle and Scary. I don't play the Chalice here because I want to cast the Pentad Prism and also hold up the Dispel. I played the Sandstone Needle rather than the Scary because I really didn't want to tap that Scary to dispel anything. It's just like not giving myself the opportunity to play poorly, basically. And Lorraine revealed, drawing a Merchant Scroll in an Augury. I go Merchant Scroll for prologue, play Prism, and now I start going off. I'm not going to click through this here, because basically the proliferation time it takes is kind of like me pausing it anyway. And I Augury into another copy of Vivisurgence Insight, and I think it should be all over now. Just like the song says. And there's Vivisurgence Insight into Contentious Plan, into Vivisurgence Insight, into Contentious Plan Prologue. And that got it. Alright. Oh, wait. I need one more. There's Merchant Scroll, so I can grab an Augury. Should have just grabbed another Prologue there. That would have been faster. And Prologue. Alright. On to Game 3. Okay. We are back for the final game of this video, and this is a keepable hand. I did not change my sideboard. I go Scary, and I'm going to go turn 2 Prism into Augury. I'm infected, which is important because early infection is very important in the mirror. So too, though, are early rocks, because this is a race. So whoever can infect the fastest will win. And those are the two most important axes for determining who can proliferate very quickly. So this allows me to grab an island. I don't Augury here because I'm concerned about them having a Bring the Ending or something. They tap out for a Vivisurgence Insight, which I really like seeing because that allows me to reset my lands without fear. I grab another Contentious Plan. They're still not infected, but I'm going to use this Merchant Scroll unless I top the Prologue with this Manamorphose, which I do, luckily. And I go Contentious Plan into Contentious Plan into another Contentious Plan. I like to hold these Merchant Scrolls because I don't want to dilute my deck too much. Into Vivisurgence Insight. Boop, boop, boop. That's a good pickup on that Nature's Claim. So I'm just going to pass the turn now. So there's one way out of this is for them to land their own Pentad Prism and do what I just did. So I'm going to hold up this Nature's Claim and hopefully to prevent them from being able to do that. And they go Augury into Infectious Inquiry. And they are in fact finished. This Teach by Example into Vivisurgence Insight is just nigh unbeatable when it resolves. And there we go. Okay. And that is the match. I hope you had fun watching. I certainly had fun playing. Always fun playing against saiden. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Anyway, yeah. See you for the next video. All right, have a good one.